Celebrating an entire year of episodes. What is your budget? The purpose.
What resolution do you want to game at? How long can you wait for it?
Should I wait? Do I go AMD or do I go Intel?
We're gonna look at 3 systems here at 3 different price points, and I'll sort of explain how all of this information can affect the way these systems are built out. Let's go, nerds! Now, lower GPU prices might be the sign that it's time for you to build your own PC. Buying the parts, unboxing them, and building your own PC can be a fantastic experience. But there's one critical component that you shouldn't overlook: a Windows license. Thankfully, you can save a good chunk of money on that purchase with today's video sponsor, CDKdeals. CDKdeals is an online marketplace that offers game keys for several different platforms and genuine software licenses at drastically reduced prices. You can even use code BRAY25 to get an additional 30% off. Here's how it works. Here we have an OEM license for Windows 10 Pro. Of course, all Windows 10 Home and Pro keys can be later upgraded to Windows 11 at no charge. Keep in mind that you'll need a new key if you build a new system or make major hardware changes. OEM keys cannot be used to upgrade from Windows 10 Home to Pro, so make sure you know which version you have installed. Here in the cart, you can use code BRAY25 to get an additional 30% off. So an OEM copy of Windows 10 Pro will drop from $22.72 to just $15.90. After your purchase is complete, click View Keys/Codes. Click Get the Key and copy it. Then go to your Windows search bar, type out Activate, and click Activation Settings. My Windows install is already activated, so I'll be replacing it, but yours should just say Activate Windows. Paste in the key, click Activate, and you're done. Thank you, CDKdeals, for continuing to support the channel. Now, the way we're going through this is actually through PCPartPicker.com, and PCPartPicker.com is just a place where you can... The search engine isn't the best, and there's some flaws to it. They don't show you every available thing on the internet. That's a bit much to ask of any website, but it's pretty good for what we're doing here. So this system comes in at $960.56 before tax, okay? Most of these things will ship for free, so shipping is a non-issue, or not a variable here, except it looks like for the case, actually. But it's Amazon, so you should be able to get that on Prime. What we're looking at here is an Intel Core i5-12400. Yes, even though this thing is under $1,000, we're not going with a 12100. If you want, you can go with the i3-12100. It's 4 cores, 8 threads. You do that if all you're gonna do on this PC is gaming. I like to build more well-rounded PCs because a lot of people wanna get into streaming and stuff. So this one isn't quite spec'd out for that, but the processor would be. The 12400 can do it. It's 6 cores, 12 threads. If you're gonna turn around and tell me, hey, a 5600X can stream, well, so can this then. And it'll probably outperform it a little bit. The 12400 trades blows with the 5600X. We're looking at a Gigabyte B660M DS3H AX DDR4 micro. It's a lot of things there. Basically, this is the right motherboard for this processor, and it's a little shorter on features than some other motherboards in its class, but the price is excellent. It's not the most scaled down motherboard out there. It's just under mid-range. It's under mid-range for this chipset, the B660 chipset. It is micro ATX, so expandability, how many things you can add to it, is a little bit limited, but it does the job and it has a decent amount of USB ports to connect things. For RAM, I went with the 16 gigs of RAM. So if this is gonna be a system where you're like, I might do some streaming now and then, you want 32 gigs of RAM. I'll tell you that right now, because you're gonna be running so many things at once, and that's what your memory, your system memory, or RAM, is for. It's basically, the more RAM you have, the more multitasking you can do. And streaming means running your broadcast software, your game, your music program, your chat, and all that stuff, whatever windows you're gonna have open. If you have 10 Chrome tabs while gaming and you never touch streaming in your life, but you'd like to have Chrome tabs open, if you have like 15 of them open while you're gaming, you need more RAM. That's just how that goes. Or apparently, if you like to play Escape from Tarkov, apparently that game needs a lot of system memory. I don't know. Now, we didn't skimp on the storage either. This is a terabyte. That's a decent amount of storage for starting out. It's a good amount of storage for starting out, actually. And it's not a budget one either. It's a Sabrent Rocket Q. That's a good brand for an M.2 drive. It's quite fast, and it's only $89.99. You can save maybe 10, 20 bucks by going with a, like a sort of lesser known brand or something that's a little bit slower, but you don't need to. The goal was to be under $1,000, and we totally are. Now for the GPU, we're going with an RTX 3050. It's the most, well, I can't say it anymore. It was the most recent GPU before the 3090 Ti. Boy, those are on the opposite ends of the spectrum, aren't they? But the 3050 for 1080p gaming. You see, resolution is important. You need to know or think about what resolution you want to game at. If you go with 1080p, you've probably seen 1080p gaming before, monitors, things like that. You can get high resolution 1080p gaming out of this, even with AAA titles, meaning the big, really pretty titles, okay? If you want, you can actually go back and watch the review of the Hoplite system from Alexander PCs I posted just about a week ago. And that, well, less than a week ago. That one has a 12400 and the RTX 3050, and it gamed beautifully. Even in Cyberpunk 2077, one of the hardest to run games. Not because it wasn't super well optimized. It's gotten better. Deepcool Matrix 40, same case as a Hoplite, by the way. Comes with 3 fans in it. They're not my favorite fans, but they do light up, so that's cool. But they move air. That's the most important thing. The thermals were great in this case. And the Corsair RMX 2018 version, 650 watt, 80 plus gold. This is a very nice power supply. I have a master list that I use for judging which power supplies to use, and that actually is from the Linus Tech Tips forums. I really like this list. It's fantastic. They basically have a great legend for it, and everything is very clear. And this one is actually a gold rated power supply, and that's for, higher end systems. But here we go, RMX 2018, and you can have it right here, and it's 80 plus gold certified. You'll see that a lot. All that means is that this power supply is going to put out 650 watts. The gold rating is how much power is it going to pull from the wall to give you 650 watts. And basically it's going to pull more than 650 watts from your outlet to give you 650 watts. And the better the rating, the 80 plus certification, the less of an increase in power draw it has just to give you the nominal wattage. Like this one right here is a ridiculous beast of a power supply that is 1300 watts. And this one is 80 plus gold as well. This thing's gonna pull a lot of power, and I actually have to upgrade my uninterruptible power supply or battery backup here just to make sure this thing has all the juice it needs. When I mentioned the Hoplite is about $1,250 or $1,300, depending on the couple of options you choose if you use my discount code on that. It has better components than this. It has a better motherboard, way better motherboard. This motherboard right here doesn't have a PCIe Gen 5 GPU slot. The GPU slot is not PCIe Gen 5, so that means whenever 40 series GPUs come out, you'll be running that on Gen 4, which is a current standard, whereas Gen 5 is the next standard, the newer standard. I guess it's the current standard too now, whatever. However, the Asus TUF Gaming motherboard that comes in the Hoplite has PCIe Gen 5. The owner of Alexander PCs insisted on that when he was speccing out the system. It has better memory, like nicer looking memory. It's RGB and it's Trident Z RGB memory. It's one of my favorite looking kits of RAM they have out there, and it's awesome. And you could even spec that out with 32 gigs of RAM, so entry-level streaming PC right there. And it has a better GPU, because this one, if I'm being honest, is a pretty basic one. It's only got one fan, although the 3050 doesn't run very hot, but the one that you'll get from Alexander PCs on the Hoplite is a dual fan card. Just the 3050 it doesn't need a whole lot of cooling, but it does help when you're running very demanding games and you're pushing it to its limits. Also, this system here is using the stock, you'll notice there's no CPU cooler chosen because the 12400 comes with a stock cooler, the new laminar stock included coolers from Intel, whereas with the Alexander PCs system, you're getting a Vetru V5. Big tower cooler, RGB fan, very nice. It's a medium-sized tower cooler, but really you don't need, it's honestly overpowered for the 12400, which is why the temperatures are so great in that system. Helps move air through it too, very nice. Now, if we go to Alexander PCs and we take a look at the Hoplite, which by the way, they now have an AMD version. So if you are an AMD fanboy, which I don't mean to say that in a bad way, if you like it, you like it. They have a 5600X version of the Hoplite now, which is pretty sweet. Now this says sold out right now, but I've been told by them that they're getting more 3050s in. They just went really fast because it's a great system for the price. Now to prove that, what Alexander PCs will do underneath all the description of here's why we chose these parts, here's why they're great, all of that, guess what? There's a PC part picker list. And it shows you, by their estimation, because GPU prices change, the price of the system is $1228.03. Going by the automatic prices populated by PC part picker list when you choose these parts, plus, whatever GPU price you can find. This is the first time I have seen this GPU, the 3050 Phoenix, the single fan one. Mostly you'll see the prices for these are around $299. That's the lowest price I've seen on a 3050. But the Gigabyte Eagle OC for $350, right there. There you go. And from there, it only goes up. So this build right here is a pretty sweet deal. But also, going by this information here, This build is also a sweet deal. And with this, you get a lifetime warranty. So that's when it comes to like, should I just build it or should I just buy it? In this price range, from these guys, for this system, I would probably go, even though I'm a builder, like the lifetime parts and labor warranty is insane. And they really stand behind it. Like that's most of their mission statement is to like get PCs in the hands of gamers and then back them up just forever. Just take care of them, take care of that PC, keep them running. Now, again, if you directly do damage to your own PC, any warranty would be voided. But that includes this one, of course. So it's got those improvements. Watch the review. It speaks for itself. Well, I speak for myself. I speak a lot. Okay. So what about if you want to go from that lower budget system to a mid-range system and say you want to game at 1440p, right? You want to game at 1440p and like you want it to run really well. So not just like entry-level 1440p or mid-range like a 3060 Ti would be about mid-range 1440p, but capable. You want to go all out on that. Well, that's what this system for, and it runs about $2,084 without any sort of changes we might make for specific use cases. So we actually went with more memory than I normally would because it's 32 gigs of RAM. You can go with a 16 gig kit and play almost every game on the market, apparently, except for Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov developers, why is that? Optimize your stuff, man. Why is everyone telling me this? Like, oh, I play Escape from Tarkov as if it's like a warning, a disclaimer for me when I'm gonna help them. It's great. So here we went with the Intel Core i5-12600K. That K on the end of that 5-digit number means that it is unlocked and overclockable, okay? It also means that it has efficiency cores in addition to the performance cores. 6 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores, handling background stuff. So your 6 performance cores can focus on gaming or streaming or whatever you're doing, or both. And then streaming and gaming at the same time, efficiency cores will come in and handle some of it. It's fantastic. With this, we went with the Corsair iQ H100i Elite Capellix, all-in-one liquid cooler. So that means you have a CPU block, the tubes, the radiator, and the fans all in one with a pump for the liquid in here. You never have to open this thing, you never have to maintain it, and it is gonna liquid cool your PC. If you've never seen an AIO or you've heard of it, but you've never really looked at them, that's all that is. It's an entire liquid cooling system in one unit that you never have to maintain. Now, because this is 12th gen Intel, one thing that's important to mention is that you have to have compatibility with your cooler. So in order to make this thing right here, the CPU block, fit onto your motherboard and over your processor, you have to have the right mounting kit. A lot of the new kits you might find out there may have that included, and it'll say on the box whether it's compatible with LGA 1700. But I was at Best Buy about a week ago. They had 2 of these exact same coolers that arrived at the same time a week before that. One had LGA 1700 listed on the box, one did not. So if you order this remotely, you might run into a case where you might have trouble mounting this thing if you're building it yourself. But this list is not just for people who are building it themselves. You can take any of these lists and just go to a system integrator and just do a custom build matching these, or find one that has similar parts. That's why I'm using this. It's sort of universal, okay? So you wanna make sure that it's gonna be compatible so it'll actually fit well onto your processor. And I did go with an ASUS motherboard because it can have both LGA 1200 and LGA 1700 mounting. And with the 12600K, it's not so hot running that it needs to have the most amazing perfect mounting, but you do wanna get just the right amount of pressure when you're putting that on there. Don't over tighten it. You don't want to put too much pressure. You don't want to put too little pressure, just right. So when it comes to this, watch a video on mounting a cooler on an Alder Lake or 12th gen Intel processor. There's probably videos out there specific for that. But this motherboard is awesome. ASUS ROG, it is an ASUS ROG Strix. However, with 12th gen Intel, you have to choose between DDR4 and DDR5 memory, okay? DDR5 is a newer one. You can tell because of the number. It's a bigger number. But this is an awesome DDR4 motherboard, probably one of the best DDR4 based motherboards. It's a type of RAM that you can get. It's also really, really cool looking. Because what I did here was a white build, by the way. If you're wanting to go for a white build, this is sort of the thing to follow for that. Anyway, the RAM, I went with the Corsair Vengeance RGB. It is DDR4 3600 megahertz with CAS latency 16. That means it's fast. Okay, I'll have to do a video talking about memory frequencies and latencies, but this RAM is great. It looks awesome. I went fully Corsair for both of these, the latter 2 builds, this build and the 3rd build. okay? It's good to do that to get all matching parts if you want to use mostly just one program to run your RGB. I have to use several because I didn't plan out this system, so it's fun. I love it. So of course, I went with the Sabrent Rocket Q4 1TB M.2, still another 1TB drive. Now the reason you might want more storage down the line, although it is a very easy upgrade you can make yourself, it's one of the easiest upgrades you can do, adding storage, is because games are getting really big. So this will hold your operating system, all your files, if you're doing projects for school or whatever, or for work. Once you start adding a lot of games, especially like Call of Duty games and whatnot, they're huge. So eventually you'll want to add more storage, or you can go in here, go to storage, choose a 2TB M.2 drive. These install right on the motherboard. They're super cool. We'll skip the graphic card. I'll come back to the GPU in a minute, but we've got a Corsair 4000D airflow case in white with some gray accents. It's a beautiful case. It's wonderful to build in. And if you're looking at a configurator, at a system integrator, and they have this as an option, I can highly recommend it. In fact, there's a few that I recommend, and you can go back into any of my videos and you'll hear me mention airflow all the time because it's critical. And to clear something up here, I don't just mention airflow for performance. In fact, to me, that is secondary. Longevity. This is an investment. And better airflow means that when you're running a really expensive GPU, it's not going to be overheating all the time and having to run the fans at max speed all the time just to give you decent performance. And that will decrease the longevity of your components. If they're running, it's like you don't drive your car with the pedal all the way to the floor all the time. If you do, stop it. That's bad. Don't do that. It's dangerous. So you see I went with the Corsair RMX power supply here too. Still fantastic power supply, just higher wattage, 850 watts. 100 more watts than was recommended for the RTX 3070 Ti. That's the GPU we're putting in this thing. Now I'll explain why I didn't go with a 3060 Ti or 3070 in a second. But generally, I will look at things like a 3060, although the 3060 can do 1440p and they can do it pretty well. The 3060 Ti is just better at 1440p to where I'm like, that's where I recommend starting if you want to go. If you're sure you're going to go with a 1440p monitor. So usually the range for those I think is like 3060 Ti up to 3070 Ti. That's the range of performance in 1440p, and as you go up, 3060 Ti, 3070, 3070 Ti, you can have higher graphics settings and still get great frame rates as you go up. I try to push people away from the 3080 right now. It is ridiculously priced, and you can't find the 10 gig versions anymore, and the 12 gig ones cost about as much as a 3080 Ti. It's stupid. So if we go in here, into video cards, this is crazy. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna click on those three cards, 3060 Ti, 3070, and 3070 Ti. Then I scroll up to price and sort by lowest price. Oh, there's an even cheaper one. Look at that. $749. This actually changed from when I first planned this all out. $749. The cheapest one is a 3070 Ti. The cheapest one. And then it's actually even a nicer model. If we sort of look at the zoom in here, this has a larger cooling solution. It has 3 fans. This is a smaller cooling solution with 2 fans. Yeah. And then most of the ones in the top tier here, in the lowest price range, are 3070 Ti's. It's crazy. I don't get it. But all the lowest priced ones, except for this one outlier here with this 3070, are all 3070 Ti's. It's ridiculous. The lowest priced 3060 Ti that at least that PC part picker can find, it is $1,350. Double the price of a 3070 Ti? That's weird. What the hell, man? Well, let's check it out. Let's just go look on Newegg, and if we look at Newegg for 3060 Ti's, the cheapest one on Newegg, because PC part picker is not the be-all end-all for pricing and availability. It just finds a decent number of things. Going directly to Newegg, which usually I push people away from Newegg, but like, I've been doing that for years. No, don't go to Newegg. But they're on their best behavior right now. Thank you, Steve, and the rest of the team at Gamers Nexus for that. So these two here are this one's at the most reasonable price, but it says view details. Well, gee, I wonder what the details are. Okay, so this is a better price on the 3060 Ti, and this is a very capable card. But if you're considering $600 versus $749, $150 for 2 steps up in GPU, from the 3060 Ti to 3070 to 3070 Ti for $150 bucks. This is a great deal right here, and I'm actually switching the build over to this card right here. Just make sure while you're actually gonna go through and purchase all these things, if you're building it yourself, that you actually do a little price shopping to make sure you're getting the best deal. And right now it seems like you can either go directly to the EVGA website, like right here, 3070 Ti for the Win 3 Ultra Gaming, $779. That's an awesome card. It's a little higher end, higher boost clocks, better cooling solution on it, by the way. But this one doesn't include the accessories or the retail box. You have to pay $829 to get the full package. But still, it is the highest end one that they have, and it's there, available from EVGA directly. So just check with EVGA directly before you make any purchases on those things. And also, of course, check out Newegg, of course, too. So I can definitely recommend this system. Now, I will say the other card that was there before is the Gigabyte Vision OC, which matches the white theme a lot better, but it's about $100 more. So yeah, if you want to go with that route for the $100 just to match it up with the white system, you totally can. I totally get that. That is much less than the normal tax you pay for a white component. And yeah, you can actually get this for $750 normally, but it's out of stock at Newegg and Best Buy. So of course, all of these builds are going to be linked in the description below. That is not something that I get anything for. You know, it's just to help out. So you have a blueprint, basically. So what if you want to edit video with this system right here? Well, you would want to go with 64 gigs of RAM in 2 sticks. It's going to bring up the same memory here, but my suggestion is to go with 64 gigs right off the bat, so you can expand it to 128 if you get into like professional video editing at some point. And yes, 12600K is pretty good at video editing, better than my 5900X, according to Puget Systems, who is basically, their business is built around building and testing Adobe Suite workstations for Adobe Premiere Pro and Photoshop and all that stuff. So testing it, when it comes to testing Adobe stuff, they know what's up. That's their whole thing. Now, you will need to probably get some slightly slower memory. Potentially, this is not the last list of what's available out there. You can just go search on Amazon for DDR4 3600 CL16 64 GB. And it'll bring up some kits. Their search engine sucks though, so maybe, I don't know, look on Newegg if you want. But yeah, there are kits here, and as you can see, the price does jump up quite a bit. So for the cheapest kit, the Corsair Vengeance LPX, is $307.99 versus the price of this setup, which is $168.99. So you're looking at about $130, $140 more, but that's not double the price, but it is double the memory. Better just buy it the first time. If you know you're gonna edit video, 64 gigs of RAM is really nice. Right, Cuddles? But of course, any changes you want to make to this, you can. Any changes. If you don't like the white build, just change it to a black case, change it to a black power supply, as long as it has the same, they have the black version of this, as you saw over here with a 650 watt version. You can change to a different card if you want to have the different look. You can go for the Gigabyte one if you want. If you have the extra $100, $120 lying around, go for it. That's the beauty of either ordering a custom PC or building a PC. Whether it's built for you or you build it yourself, if you're getting it custom, and there are companies out there who, if you just email them, they'll build you whatever you want. It's whatever you want it to be. Anything you want it to be. If there's a case that you've seen that you really like, get that case. Unless it has bad airflow, then don't get that case and come talk to me on the stream and I'll help you. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at around 8 p.m. Central at twitch.tv/Bravethorn. Come hang out. It's super fun. All right? Okay, so now we're getting to the big old build, the Bob. All right? So this one, we went from 1,000 to around 2,000. Now we're going to around 3,000. This is the one where if you're just feeling like you just got a game in 4K, which by the way, don't do on a TV unless it is specifically said this is a good TV for gaming and it has, you know, like G-Sync and gaming mode with low latency, low input latency. You need that. This one has a 12700K, so that is 8 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores. It has more cores than 12600K, and the number's higher, so you know it's more better. So the price is higher too. We went with a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler, so it has 3 fans on it instead of 2. It has that extra 120 millimeters. That's how you go from 240 to 360. Add 120. Math! And we got a heck of a motherboard here. Beautiful motherboard. ASUS ROG Strix Z690F Gaming with Wi-Fi. Just so you know, every one of these has Wi-Fi on it. Every one of these motherboards has Wi-Fi, just in case you need it. All right? And it can be good for a backup, especially for streaming, because you can have a hardline connection for Ethernet. And if you have something like, if you get into really professional streaming, you're not going to want to lose your stream. You don't want it to die on you. So if your Ethernet dies, you know, someone kicks it or something, or your router turns off, you can have your Wi-Fi connected to a hotspot that it'll just kick over to. Learn that from Christopher Yee. What's up, Chris? No, I mean, that's all. A failover connection is something that I've set up many, many times commercially. So it's like a residential version of a commercial failover, except it's just for one device, not for the whole network. Whatever. Now this is the one where we kind of went all out. It's for 4K gaming, and it's got a ton of storage, and it's got a rad GPU. Now, CPU cooler is larger to handle the higher heat output. Now, you can probably run a 240 on the 12700K or a 280 as well, but because of the case we're going with, it's a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. The motherboard is awesome. Asus ROG Strix Z690F gaming Wi-Fi motherboard, and it has full-on Wi-Fi 6E, tons of USB ports. If you're going to be doing streaming and stuff, this is a great motherboard to go with. It's fantastic. It has 4 sockets for M.2 drives. That's a ton of storage. So if you're going to be doing stuff like video editing, this is another good motherboard for that because you have a ton of storage options, including other storage like SATA storage as well. And for the memory, we went with the Corsair Dominator Platinum RGB 32 gigs. If you are going to do video editing, you will need to look for a 64 gig kit of DDR5. That will cost you quite a bit more. I'm talking about like $600, but it needs to be 2 sticks unless you want to have much lower frequencies. That's just the way DDR5 is spec'd out. And of course, we went with a 2 terabyte Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus. This is one of their best M.2 drives. It is super fast for read and write speeds, and it's just gonna make everything run snappier. Gen 4 drives you don't really need for gaming. Doesn't really help your frame rates, but load times will be helped a little bit. But really for loading or moving large files, things like that, very helpful. If you're gonna be making this a video editing rig, you're gonna want some mass storage. You can just add a 4 terabyte mechanical hard drive for starters. It's slow, but it holds a lot more files, and usually get that for like 60, 70 bucks for one of those 4 terabyte drives. There's not one in here yet. These are the changes you can make knowing what you will want to do with it. Of course, you can add storage later. It's not difficult to do. And the RTX 3080 Ti right here for $1,329. Now, I changed the price on this because looking at EVGA's website, I actually found this card for $1,329. It was about $1,360 on PC Part Picker's list. And this is the one with all the packaging, all the accessories. There's not many accessories that come with it, but having the original box is nice. Now, there is a higher end option for the 3080 Ti, by the way, for the Win 3 Ultra Gaming. That one's $1,429. So yeah, better cooling, higher frequencies if you go for the $1,429 version here. This is what I was talking about when I said that the 3080 12 gig edition is so close in price to 3080 Ti, you might as well just buy a 3080 Ti because it is faster. And here you'll find that for the Win 3 Ultra Gaming Edition here of both 3080 and 3080 Ti are about $130 in difference. Now, if that is cost prohibitive for you, just go with the 3080, you'd be fine, but I would look for a 10 gig one if you can find one. Just skip the 3080. It's been pretty much price hiked into non-existence, in my opinion. And here for the XC3 version, which is more normal frequencies for boost clocks and more of a normal cooling element, so it's not as chunky, you're looking at an even smaller price difference of $80 to get a 3080 Ti. You know which one to get. So I did adjust the price here on the list. Just know you need to go directly to EVGA's website to find that. I went with a 5000D airflow case, so it's a 4000D plus 1000, meaning it has more space. You can fit a 360 millimeter radiator on the top instead of just a 280 or 240. I recommend if you're building to have your radiator on the top with the fans exhausting through the top and intake on the front. Now I added 2 sets of 3 of these Corsair iQ SP120 RGB Pro fans. These should match pretty well to the ones that come with the Elite Capellix cooler here. And that way you can have 3 front intake. You can even do the 3 side intakes, or at least have the 1 exhaust. You can just make it 3 fans and have 3 intake front, 3 exhaust on the top if you want. But remember, your cooler comes with 3 already. This will give you a total of 9, which you can install 9 in this case. You could actually set up the radiator as push-pull, meaning you have 3 fans pushing air through it and 3 more fans on the other side pulling air through it. Just make sure you put these matching ones, these exact ones, on the radiator and take off those ones from the all-in-one liquid cooler, put those in the front of the case for intake. You want to have the exact same fans on both sides if you're doing a push-pull configuration. Even though these look very similar, this way they'll be exactly the same. And the Corsair RMX 2021, so it's a newer version as well, and it's a 1000 watt 80 plus gold. I do recommend going well over the recommendation from NVIDIA when it comes to 3080 Ti. That 750 watts estimate was given before 12th gen Intel was released. And 12th gen Intel processors can use their turbo boost clocks for as long as they want. That can be a problem when you have a power spike, a transient power spike that most higher end 30 series GPUs tend to have. Yeah, that's it. That's the build. It's fantastic. It's awesome. Remember, if you're gonna be building a PC, this is not all the stuff you need. You're gonna want some zip ties, some thermal paste. Now, if you're gonna be doing any streaming, you may wanna consider an internal capture card. That is up to you. You can use an external one too. Either way. So that's it for the builds. You can find something similar to these with many system integrators. However, once you start getting to higher end systems, the prices are gonna rise too, because if you have a company that has a similar profit percentage, a markup percentage for each part, well, the higher the price of the part, the higher the amount added on via that percentage. That's just how selling things goes. But generally, you'll get a return on that based on the warranty that you get. So several companies offer a lifetime warranty. There are a couple that I actually believe will back that up really well. We'll get in, maybe we'll make a video about warranties as its own topic because it's a pretty important topic. If you're building it yourself, understand that you will have individual warranties for each component through the manufacturer. If you get it from a system integrator, that system integrator holds those manufacturer warranties. It's registered to them. So that's why if there needs to be an RMA done for a GPU or all-in-one liquid cooler or for storage or the motherboard or whatever, it is handled through the system integrator, so you need to send it back to them. That's how we come back to the whole micro center thing. And if you have one near you, that is likely the best option to go with, unless, I don't know, you have a system integrator in the same town as you, like Alexander PCs is in the greater Chicago area. If you live there, you can just go and pick up the PC and just take it to them if it has an issue. So we went over a lot in this video. There's a lot to think about before you buy a PC. And I did try to break it down into some bite-sized chunks, but really it's a lot of chunks. So I hope it was helpful to you, and know that this is not how these Sunday episodes usually go. Usually it's just me saying, let's take a look at what these system integrators have in stock. And we didn't really look at any except for me showing you a comparative price thing with the Hoplite PC. You can expect next Sunday we'll be back to doing that. And though I do tend to show a lot of the same companies over and over, I am trying to bring in more. It's just we're trying to find companies that are sort of like-minded when it comes to taking care of you guys when you make a purchase. That's really important to me. My suggestion to you is to join the Discord. And that is not in my own self-interest to see my Discord grow, although it is growing super fast. We're in the thousands now, multiple thousands of awesome members of our community. The Swarm is a Discord that is actually centered around PCs and mostly pre-built PCs. It's incredible. There's a whole channel just dedicated to showing off your rig once you've got it. There's a channel just for tech questions where you can go in there, type in @techie and put in a question, and you'll have a really helpful, awesome volunteer come in and help you out. And they're all vetted and knowledgeable people. It's an incredible community. We even have channels for just anime and food or whatever you want. So the link for the Discord is in the description below. And please, join the Swarm. We'd love to have you. Of course, a lot of the Swarmies will hang out during the streams. You're free to do that too. It's a lot of fun. You can ask questions there. Now, you don't have to go from being a PC noob to being a PC builder. But my goal is that eventually you'll feel if you're not comfortable opening up a PC and swapping out parts, maybe we can get you there. I don't take this lightly. And when I make a suggestion, a lot of the time you guys listen, and that means the world to me, and I will do my best to never lead you wrong. If you want to hear more about topics like this live in a big public forum, be sure to check out on the 21st on one of the PAX East Twitch channels. We're doing a huge actual panel at PAX East with industry insiders in the Albatross Theater at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on one of their 3 Twitch channels dedicated to this. 3 theaters there are going to be streaming panels all day long, and we're prime time on the first night of the event, baby. There we go. Big things are happening, and as we hit a year of making these episodes, it has been a year that I've had the YouTube channel. That was about a year and a half ago, but that started it. But about a year of doing this show, when so many wonderful people came into the community, I want to give you guys a message. This is a message for you. For those of you who pushed us, brought us from 80 subscribers to 13,637, as it says right now, I could never thank you enough. Never. I don't know where this is going to lead us, where we're going to go with this. Whether, I know it's not just going to be pre-built coverage, but whether it's going to be pre-built coverage, which will continue, plus builds, plus reviews, plus, or if we're going to switch to doing just the rebuilding pre-built PCs that need improving, or all of those things, or more live events, more travel to live events, things like that. All of it is what I want. I want all of those things. But wherever this is going, wherever this path leads us, if you want to come with me in Cuddles, if you want to come with us, then let's go, nerds.